Okay, now we're ready to add the data model, which is just going to be 2 arrays. So we're going to need 2 different lists. One is supplies that you can choose from, and the other are supplies that are already in the backpack. So we're going to add these properties above the body. So if we jump up here, and we're going to do a variable, right, called available supplies. Now, in this is going to be, yes, an array, but not of supply, an array of strings, right? Because emojis are just characters, which are then strings, actual. So here is where you can decide what you want to be in there. So for example, I'm going to pull up the emojis, and you can do this under Edit, Emojis and Symbols. I like to use the keyboard shortcuts, Control Command Space, and Control Command Space will then pop it up too. So if I do, just type in school, look at all these different school supplies I can choose from, right? So we can choose a pair of scissors, and then maybe choose a different pair. So let's try to get it about 4 or 5 different things, right? So go ahead and pick what you want. And remember, each of these have to go inside of a string. And I am going to pick, yeah, helps if I can spell school. Let me see, how about some books? And then I'm going to come over to here, Control Command Space. You know, there might be a better way to do this. Let me see. Do I need a pencil? Of course I need a pencil. Pencil, scissors, there, and Control Command Space one more time. And let me see. All right, so I think my last one, what do I want it to be? How about this notebook here? We're going to just do a notebook. Obviously, you can choose whatever emojis you want to choose. I've just chosen 4. 4 will fit in my backpack nicely, and it'll show us the concept. So this, there we go. This now is our array, right? And you remember what an array is. It's basically just a list of things, and these are the available supplies. Now, I want to be able to create another list, and this is going to be the supplies that are in the backpack. So those are the things that are available. Now I can just create a variable called supplies in backpack, and I'll do that now. Yeah, look at that. Supplies in backpack. But the thing about these is they are variables so that they can change. But we want it to be monitored. In other words, when we click on, say, a supply, we want to be able to add to this, and we want it to show in the backpack. So we need it to be a state variable. So we're going to remember we do the @state, right? So that one's going to be monitored. So every time we add something to it, the backpack or the screen, the backpack on the screen is going to be redrawn. Okay, so because we want the UI to update. Okay, so hopefully you have all of these little things, and now we can show the supplies on the screen. So anytime you want to display a list in SwiftUI, you reach for a ForEach. Okay, we're going to code it now, but we will definitely come back to this because there's kind of a lot of things to it that I want to break down, but let's just kind of put it in the code. And then we'll explain later how this works. We'll actually take a really hard look at ForEach. So we're going to add this under the title, okay, but above the image. So this is where we're headed. And we're going to do an H stack. So let's create our own little H stack. I do want to, well, we'll leave this alone for now. Let's go ahead. And let's create this for each, right? So basically we're going to say for each one of our available supplies, right? Now this is the part where I just want you to code it. We will come back to this, I promise, right? Dot self. Yeah, we'll explain this whole thing because I think it's important that you understand what's going on. So here's my for each. It's not finished yet. Yeah, it's going to yell at me. I'm just trying to move this over so you can see it. And I should have made it happy. And I'll explain it briefly, but we'll go into more detail later. All right, so we have this for each available supply, okay? And we'll talk about the ID and the whole ID self. We'll talk about that later, so let's just pop that in for now. So what it's going to do is it's going to go through all the available supplies one at a time and put it into this variable right here. It's like a little temporary container, if you will. And then they're going to use that in this part right here. So when we say text supply, so the first thing it shows is the scissors, then the books, then the pencil, then the notebook. And if you'll notice, it's really kind of small, and we're going to make it bigger, but you'll see I have these things here. And in fact, let's do this. I'm going to show you how you can use another method to do a system size, right? So you can do a system size. And we're going to try that. Let's see what that looks like. Much better, okay? So this is a system size. So let's just look at the code real quick. We did an H stack. If you remember, an H stack is horizontal because we want everything to be displayed horizontally. And we're using this for each, so it will go through each and every item in our available supplies. And I will talk about the ID later. And it pulls it from here, puts it in here, uses it here. And this then displays. So this is how we get all of our stuff. You can play with the numbers if you want, if you've got more things in your backpack. But right now I just did the 460, should work for right now. And we'll kind of continue. So now we see the emojis. And next what we want to do is we want to tap an emoji. This is what we're going to do next. We're going to tap an emoji. And when we do, it's going to add it to the backpack. Okay.